I was 5 years old and I was playing with some kids up on a sort of some bars, and I crashed and hit the stone and fractured my skull instantly. And the moment my head hit the ground, I remember a light in my head, and I remember thinking, I have seen all of eternity in that one flash. I'd seen everything. I knew everything. This feeling went, but they rushed me to hospital, and my head was like, I looked like the Elephant Man. It was the size of a watermelon, and it was so swollen that my lip was that way, not that way, because it had pulled, the whole thing was shattered, the bones. So they put me, I was staying with some doctors while my father, who was a doctor, was at a medical conference in Germany, and they put me in isolation in a room. They said, you must keep her at home, lock the door so she doesn't go anywhere. And the pain was so intense that a few days after this, and I was pouring with sweat. I seem to have spent my whole life pouring with sweat because the pain was so bad. And I remember thinking, I have to kill myself. I cannot live like this. I was 5, but I remember thinking very clearly, I must kill myself. And I went to open the door, but I was assuming it was locked, and the doctor had forgotten to lock it. Went down into the garden. I was dressed in some little blue pajamas with some Chinese things on it, and really lovely pajamas. Went into the garden where there was an Alsatian dog. Went to the end of the garden where there was a gate and a fence, a path, and on the other side of this path was the River Rhine. That's the biggest river in Germany. It's a huge, fast-flowing river, and I thought, this is how I must kill myself. And I went through the gate, closed it behind me, and there were some steps down, and the river was so fast-moving, and I didn't know how to swim. I just knew I had to get under the water and die. And as I went under the water, for some reason I wasn't swept away. A being, I wish I could say it was in orange, but I can't in all honesty, a being in white, under the water, lifted me up, out of the water, carried me over the fence, laid me on the lawn, and was gone. And when the doctor and his wife came back, they went up to the room to see if I was there, all right, and I wasn't there. They rushed to the garden, and I was lying sort of pretty unconscious, covered with mud, because it's a dirty river, actually. And I think they thought that maybe, they don't know what they thought, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak for 3 months because of this. I was Pumpkinhead. And they thought maybe the Alsatian had saved me, but an Alsatian can't lift you over a fence. This being, even now as I speak, I saw it lift, but it had no face. It just lifted me over. Eventually, it took months for my head to get back to normal. And in this time, I realized, as my mouth went back that way, why I can't tell anyone. They're not going to believe me for a start. So I just kept quiet. And I started when I was 15 to have epileptic fits. I was an epileptic. I saw visions. Not the kind of epilepsy which is hereditary. I wasn't foaming at the mouth or anything or landing on the floor. I saw these visions usually about once every 2 months, and it was always the same visions. Men with turbans, beards, on a kind of stage with lighting from below and with musical instruments in their hands. And while this vision would come on, I'd get this incredible, intense smell. The whole thing would maybe last 5 seconds, actually. And again, I'd be dripping with sweat at the moment this smell came on, and it would be a feeling like you're about to fall. But I could hear everything. But let's say I was sitting in front of you guys. I wouldn't see you. I would just see these 12 men, and in their robes with this lighting from below. And sometimes I'd have visions of just roses, just everywhere roses. I'd have one every 2 months, then it got down to be one every month, then it was getting to be one every week. And I had just started to drive. I was just 17, and they were gone to one a week. And I thought, I better tell my father. I was thinking, I didn't tell anyone actually, but I was driving my car, and it happened while I was driving my car in an underpass in central London. And the automatic pilot somehow got me safely through the pass, but I saw these men in front of me. So I go to my father, and they immediately put me into a hospital. They put electrodes on my brain. I got a mark here. They shot very strong dye into my brain where you can't then move for 3 days because you might completely mess with your brain. And the doctor there, he said, you know, have you ever been dropped on your head as a baby? And I said, well, I did fracture my skull when I was 5. He said, well, take these pills. He said, this will get rid of the visions and your epilepsy. And he said, but you might miss your visions. Well, you have to remember this was in the very early 60s. It was early 60s. People didn't know how to deal with visions. I mean, it was... My father was a wonderful doctor, but nobody knew. So I took these pills, and they were called Epineutin. I became a zombie. I was literally a vegetable for 3 months. He'd said take them for 6 months. And after 3 months, I threw them away because I said, I can't live like this. And I never had the visions back, but 20 years later, I'm in the main square in Marrakesh filming a pop video, and I'm going to be dressed in some Moroccan clothes because I've always felt at home in Morocco as well, which might explain why Swami once was talking to somebody else and he turned to me, he said, and the Sufis are very good too, he said, and then he carried on talking. So that might be it. So I'm sitting in the front row of a huge festival in Marrakesh, and there are 450 folklore people from all over North Africa, dancers, camels, horses, and musicians. And suddenly, onto the stage come my men, the same robes, the same beards, the same instruments, the same lighting from below. And the moment I saw that, I realized that life is not as we see it. Now, this was before Swami.
For the first time when you actually got that book, when you got Man of Miracles, and you've been a musician from age of 15, 16.
Yeah, 15.
And you always, I think all music is about love, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. It shouldn't happen unless there's love.
Yeah, exactly.
It does
and it's, so when you have seen love, when you have kind of sung about it, and when you got this book, what changed?
Well, I knew I'd seen something that's beyond. I never had this feeling before. I mean, I'm brought up what we sort of call C of E, Church of England in England. I was confirmed at the age of 13, although I remember the vicar was known as being rather peculiar, so I never went back to church after I was 13. And I wouldn't go near a church at all. What changed was Swami actually brought me back to my own religion. I don't mind if I'm in a church or a temple or a mosque, which I wouldn't have done before. But something happened slowly inside. I think he had to scrunch out an ego. Well, we've all got egos that have got to be thumped down. But in my profession, you have to remember I was in lots of films in the 60s and 70s, running around. There was a type of film in England called Hammer films. So I'd be rushing across in this film, fighting dinosaurs and pterodactyls before this awful computer-generated stuff was happening. And so ego must have been there, and I had to be squashed in those 12 years. But I just knew I had a master. I had somebody to follow, somebody to teach, and somebody to love that was beyond any of the other sort of love I'd known before. That is really important. It's when you get inside the book, it's the way he worded it, the way he said things. Of course, it wasn't just the moment I read that book, I then had to search around to get the next one, which I think was Sam Sanvice's
Holy Man.
Yes, with the psychiatrist. And then I moved on to Phyllis Crystal's Ultimate Experience. I started with the easy ones because I was a beginner. I felt I was a raw beginner. And just floating around in the ashram was teaching me stuff as well.
The first time you actually came to Patti and you saw him, what did you feel?
Well, he was an orange dot from far away. I can't remember what I felt. I just knew that I was meant to be there. It grew. I didn't go immediately, oh, this is marvellous and wonderful and I love you, Swami. It wasn't like that. Right. I knew I had to go through some kind of process to learn. I was more keen, I just wanted to learn. I must know more about this thing that's happening to me inside.
Right. So what was actually happening to you inside? Like, for example, what, pushed you to come again? after the first
Well,
visit?
because I knew I hadn't learnt enough in the first visit. It was, coming to Puttaparthi, especially in those days, and for me, it was like I'd been put into Swami's washing machine and I was being swirled around, bouncing from side to side, getting eaten by mosquitoes in the sheds. I mean, nobody can understand how basic it was then, on the floor and 4 showers and you're queuing up from 2 o'clock in the
And
morning.
that didn't bother you?
No, I come from a very good family, and I must tell you about my family for 1 second. My family is so well known in a way, very English, that up until last year, the British £5 note has the Queen, obviously, on one side, and on the other side has my great-great-great-grandfather, 4 greats actually, and great-great-great-grandmother. Her face was there, a woman called Elizabeth Fry, and the man on the edge is Sir Thomas Fowle Buxton, my great-great-great-grandfather. And he's almost single-handedly, with another man called William Wilberforce, abolished slavery. Sorry. Elizabeth Fry was famous for prison reform.
So getting back to, what's important to you. For example, you were comfortable with living in a shed with a bare minimum in an ashram in Prasanthi.
Well, hang on a minute. Can't say I was actually comfortable because it's not easy.
Right.
But I would put up with anything. I would walk through fire. I remember once there was something in the Purnachandra Hall, and because I wasn't getting any VIP thing, and the women were pushing to get in. The sun was on the flagstones, and it was boiling hot. And a woman in front of me was screaming, "Swami, you're burning us!" And I remember thinking, I don't care if I burn. I will die to see Swami. I've always had this attitude, and it's because it's the most important thing I have. And even if he takes my voice away tomorrow, which wouldn't be easy for me because I'm a bit of a talker, but if he does, it's his voice. A lot of my family, they've either got titles, they live in huge kind of buildings. I mean, the equivalent of palaces here. Right. I live in a small little house, and Swami once told me when I came in for an interview, and I can't do his voice, obviously, he said, "You live in a tiny little voice," and his voice went squeaky up there. But it's true, I can almost touch all 4 walls, and it's got 2 floors above. I don't want very much. I just want enough for me. I've got a little puja room, a little bedroom, a tiny kitchen, because I'm not going to spend all day cooking, and a little room where I can hang.
And what about your connect with India? Would you have come to India if it was not for Swami?
Well, when I first was Mary Magdalene in Superstar, I had to leave the show after a year because I had to have my first knee operation. And one of the things I had for recovery was I thought, I'm going to go to somewhere, this was 1972, but I did the usual tourist thing of going around the Rajasthan Triangle, and I did it in sort of style because I didn't know how to book. I went with an old friend, and the moment I came to India, it's that feeling of, I've come home.
Oh,
I've come.
okay.
But I didn't know who Swami was, didn't mean a thing to me then. And once I discovered who Swami was, I was very lucky, and I know he organized this. I used to come every year to Bangalore, and I used to work quite often for the Taj group of hotels. They're still one of my favorite. One shouldn't be advertising, but I love them. And they used to book me to sing for 10 days at the West End Hotel in Bangalore. I'd sing in the evenings with my piano player. He'd spend all day lolling around the pool. I would, straight after the concert, I'd get into an ambassador car, still my favorite. And where do you find them on the roads? Right. Big mistake. They're going to be collector's pieces one day. Right. Now it's all this, I don't want AC. So I'd get into this car, lie down and do the drive, which would take 4 or 5 hours, be ready for morning darshan. It used to be about 5 in the morning in those days. It was
5 or
it was 6.
6.
Yeah, it was very early.
Yes.
I'd arrive like a complete damp rag, completely like a zombie, plonk down anywhere, see a tiny speck of orange from somewhere. He'd do his thing, and then I'd get back into a taxi, get back in time for lunch at the hotel, have an afternoon sleep. I did this quite a few times just because I wanted to be close to, I just needed to see Swami. I knew I had to go through that washing machine an awful lot of times.
Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. There's only one religion, and that's the one of love. There's only one creator, the low and the above. And there is only one world and one reality. And there is only one heart that beats for humanity. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. La 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 ho, la 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 ho, la 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 ho. There's only one language, and it comes from the heart. There's only one director, and we play the part. There's only one message that's left to tell, and there is only one God, and He is universal. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti,
Well, the 75th had a lot of interesting stories
right.
because, again, I've been told, bring your musicians. So this time they all agreed to go because I'd dangled a carrot. I'd got them some gigs in Bangalore, in Bombay. We played
This
this
was
great...
the year 2000.
Was it? You
Yeah,
tell me, I
yeah,
don't know. So
75th, yeah.
we played the Rang Bhavan, which is closed now. All the good places have closed in Bombay to play Mumbai. Well, they were happy until they got here. They absolutely hated it. Swami had decided in his ultimate wisdom to install speakers all over the ashram, and they did 24/7 Vedas outside everybody's window. Nobody slept. Well, I mean, I was quite happy. They were okay at the gig, and Swami had said, don't worry, I will give your musicians, they will be looked after, and I'd made sure that they all had sort of pastel shaded kurta pajamas because they didn't really want to be in white. And I had my assistant Greg there, and I had a didgeridoo player, and Chandru, this amazing violin player,
yes.
from Bangalore. So I mean, I had the full team, everything was perfect, and I was doing some blues, and of course I'm still at that time in shalva kameez with a dupatta. And what I forgot to mention is that Swami used to come always back into the mandir before singing and also in the stadium to make sure that this mad woman had got her dupatta pinned and then eventually into saris. So I'd got even now red scarlet satin shalva kameez with a gold dupatta, and I was hot to trot, and we arrive early for the sound check, and you know, Swami had said, don't worry, they're going to all be well fed. And the hours went by, somehow everything took forever to get the sound equipment right. And actually the didgeridoo player, who didn't even know where to sit, was about to sit on Swami's chair. In fact, he did sit on Swami's chair, so I had to pull him up quickly. I mean, they didn't know, bless them.
Sweet.
But they're great musicians,
Right.
and so I'm not bothered that they didn't know. But finally... you know, they were getting starving, and I was about to have a rebellion on my hand. But then I remembered Swami had said, don't worry, I will look after them, you know, they'll be well fed. But they were all starving and ratty and about to bite my head off. And at that moment, at the last moment, on comes a truck with huge vats of, in this case, paisam, as everyone knows how much I love paisam, which I've got some paisam stories which might have to wait till later. But food came in, and we had so much we could feed all these sound guys, everyone got fed, the lighting guys, everybody. We had a whale of a time. They could get changed everywhere. They'd forgotten where they're going to put this woman to get changed. So I had the privilege of getting changed in Swami's room, which was very nice, and it was sweet. So when I was finally changed, and Swami did eventually turn up, he came to the sort of backstage area, and he looks at me and he says, what do you think of this weather? And it had been a bit drizzly, and the clouds were all over the place. And I said, Swami, I'm from London, you know. I'm used to the weather. He just sort of looked contemplative. And I looked about 10 minutes later, and all the clouds had gone. It's as if he'd given them their marching orders. So they'd disappeared, and the concert went fine, actually. But again, I don't think a lot of people were quite ready for it. But then the next day, he did take us all in. He took me on my own, and then he took my guys. And so that was marvellous, the 75th.
Raja
I'm often asked, what's it like to sing with Swami sitting right there? Actually, it's a blast, I can say. It's marvellous because I don't get nervous. It's the same for me as if I'm in a stadium than if I'm talking in a room of 15 people. Because I have learnt, and I put this into song, that all is one. This is what Swami teaches me, and everything he teaches me I try and put into song. So I was okay. They're just and we're used to doing big venues, but nothing, I must admit, as big as that one.
As the Shanti Vedika, yeah.
Yes, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was lovely. It was lovely. I prefer singing there than out the side where you step out of that sun thing.
Right,
Because Swami would be so far
Far
away.
away.
We've got the 76 to get through as well. Do you know, I'd actually bought them all tickets. And they came and gave me the tickets back. I might as well have just thrown the whole thing away. That we're not going because, they were frightened. Actually, this was not my blues musicians. Actually, this was the year that I did the music Mirrors of Love. Blues musicians are much more feisty. They'll go through fire for me now. I know they will because they're wonderful guys. But these were guys that were doing music that was a bit kind of slightly more floaty and trancey and Indian-y, actually. I was putting Indian sounds in. Still Western, though. And so I can't believe 2 days before they come and return the tickets. I was shocked, actually. I thought, you spineless, lily-livered twits, why don't you trust me? I probably thought much worse words than that, actually, but not on camera. And so, but then I got golden boys. Yeah, Swami came out and he said, where are you musicians? And I said, well, Swami, I haven't got any. And he said, don't worry, I'll send boys. He said, boys, Swami's students, of golden, marvellous boys. And people have to remember that not one of these boys were actually musicians. It's a sideline for them, a kind of marvellous hobby. They're all learning subjects I don't even know how to pronounce. So at that time I was staying in Rajmata's house. Swami had always said, that's your home, you stay there. And at the back of the house is a room where we could practice. So day one, is it seven? 7 of you guys?
Yeah, I think 7 of us.
7, with Sailesh, sir, who was, teacher, so he was the only sensible one out of all of us, arrived, and you guys had to learn, and without Sailesh, sir, he was wonderful, because he really kind of kept everyone on track. But I'm talking on camera here now, but I'm speaking also to Sai Prakash, because he was the sitar player, fiddling around with the sitar, and you'd only been playing it about 2 years.
Exactly.
And tuning was difficult, and I remember saying to Rajmata's daughter Hema, I said in the evenings, I don't know what we're going to do. The sitar play, it's all over the place. It's going to be dreadful. How's he ever going to learn this? And every day we'd be practicing. And then one day Swami said, and sometimes we would practice in the Purna Chandra Hall.
Yes.
And it would just be us on the stage. The Swami was staying above then, and the curtains would be down. And you guys would be seated facing the curtain. And I remember this, one day you were all playing and suddenly you all just stopped. And then, of course, I realised what this was. I turned round and there was Swami who was peeping through the curtains. And, that was he used to sort of make everyone laugh. But anyway, he came over and he said, I'm coming to the house. Don't tell anyone, but I'm coming to the house, so, be prepared. I think it was on a Thursday to the practice. So I told you guys, and I told, the lady of the house, because everything had to be cleaned and prepared, and, his chair was brought out, and his silver utensils were polished till they shone. And I remember we were practicing, and you could almost feel his presence. You could feel it like a sort of oomph wave coming into the house. The food was prepared for about 15 people. In the end, about 50 people squeezed into the outer room. Everyone got fed, but that's a bit of the end of the story. He came and he walked in and he sat down on the chair. And on day one at rehearsals, I'd said to the boys, I said, now, when we do the concert, I'm going to introduce each of you name by name. And all of you paled, literally, and said, no, you can't do that, we're Swami's boys. and I let it go, but I've always been upset the way that here musicians have gone on. They played for Swami. They don't introduce who's playing for them, who's on tabla, and they don't talk in between, and they don't smile.
Right.
You've got to smile. You've got to look happy. Anyway, I was prepared to not introduce, but when Swami came in, he sat down on his chair, and the first thing he said, when you do the concert, he's going to introduce each and every one of you name by name. I think we all gave a little giggle. So anyway, Swami sat for the practice, and I can't remember what you were doing. You were probably still fiddling around with the sitar. And but we were progressing. I can't remember how many songs, 7, 8 songs.
7, 8 songs, yeah.
It's from this, and a lot of it had Sufi thought. There was one song called More Than a Mother's Love, which is a Mirabai song, because Swami's love is more than a mother's love. And I know I had the most marvellous mother who used to come here with me, but Swami's love is even more than my mother's. So he sat through the rehearsals, and then afterwards, the food had been prepared on a long table. There were 15 plates of savoury things, 15 little bowls of payasam, and Swami's standing there, passing them out. And I'm right behind, and there's some row of seats behind. So Swami's passing out this food, and I remember thinking, I'm behind him, and I'm thinking, oh, Swami, I don't want any of that savoury stuff, but I wouldn't mind a bowl of payasam. I thought it, and without missing a beat, he reached forward, picks up a bowl of payasam, gives it a little stir, gives me a smile, hands it to me, and then hands on with the savoury, which makes me think, be careful what you wish for, because he might give it to you and it might not be good for you. Let's face it, too much payasam isn't good for you.
That was a sweet lesson.
Yes, it was a very sweet lesson. So then he sits down. I sit down next to him, but I must say, to be respectful, I didn't plonk myself in the next seat. I left a respectful seat in between him and me. I would have loved to have cuddled up, but I wasn't that bold in those days. Even then, respect. You've got to have respect. I don't remember him eating, but I probably guzzled my payasam.
What more can we say than happy birthday, Baba? What more can we say than happy birthday, Baba? Beloved like no other, Sathya. Coming from the heart, oh happy birthday, Baba. Being here today makes everything complete. Feeling this way, we fall at your feet. This perfume of love is given in a flower. So what more can we say than happy birthday, Baba? Beloved like no other, Sathya, coming from the heart, oh happy birthday, Baba. Oh how we yearn that you'll keep us near. May we return the same time next year, when this love comes down on us like a shower. So what more can we say than happy birthday, Baba? Beloved like no other, Sathya, coming from the heart, oh happy birthday, Baba. birthday, Baba. Happy birthday, Baba.
If we cut to Whitefield, which of course I love being in Vrindavan because physically when Swami would come out it was quite close, and they always let me sit with my bad legs sit on a ledge, and I would sit on my tiger skin cushions, which I still use now, and he'd come past, he'd go, "Oh, hello, tiger," because there'd be a bit of tiger skin sitting out. And I once bought this group with Frankie Miller, the famous guy in the wheelchair, and we didn't come as a group. I said, we're not going to walk around looking idiotic saying UK. So I got, all of us had a little bit of tiger skin chiffon in case I had to wave it. That's a whole other story, but I'm going to go back to Whitefield. And there's a group of ladies that used to sing, and they used to sing in what I would call the graveyard shift, which is the middle of the day when nobody wanted to listen because they'd all gone for lunch, and us poor Westerners were allowed to sing. And the teacher was a wonderful Indian girl called Anju, and she was a wonderful teacher. And they used to sing great, but nobody heard them because they'd all gone to lunch. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could record them? Mm-hmm. So I booked a studio, and we practiced hard. I bought them all pink saris, different shades of dusty pink. They all looked lovely. Not that anybody saw them, but we saw them. And we practiced hard. I booked the studio, Arvind's studio in Bangalore. I booked the van to take us. And we had a couple of musicians, but we needed a harmonium player. And Sathya, isn't he a teacher here?
Yes.
What does he teach?
Chemistry.
Oh, God, another subject I don't understand. But, you know, lovely keyboard player, harmonium player. And I said, Sathya, day before the session, can you play harmonium for me with this ladies' choir? And he said, oh, I can't. And again, he nearly blanched. He said, no, you can't. But you can if you ask Swami. And I only had one darshan chance to ask. So I thought, well, all right. I wrote on a big piece of paper, Dear Swami, can I borrow Sathya to come and play harmonium with a ladies' choir in a studio in Bangalore? And don't worry, I will chaperone him well. Love, Dana. And I didn't put it in an envelope because I don't want Swami to take the letter and go off. I needed an answer then and there. So he comes out and he takes the piece of paper and he's got this letter in his hand. And he goes, what do you, Sathya, ladies' choir? You know, as if to say, fat chance. And he reads it, and then at the bottom he breaks into a smile and he says yes. So then I had to rush and find Sathya, tell him it's okay. Then I had to find him a separate car because I'd promised to chaperone him. I can't leave him alone with these ladies. There were about 20, I don't know how many we were, Westerners and a couple of Indians, but a mixed bag. And we hadn't decided to what to call ourselves on record. On the disc, I mean. We jokingly used to call ourselves the Brindavan Babes, which wouldn't have gone down well on a disc. I knew we'd never get acknowledged. Yeah. In the end, we called ourselves the Shanti Sisters, but, you know, there was one lady who was 70 and there was somebody who was 17, so it was a big spectrum of voices. So we get to the studio, the Shanti Sisters were in the kind of main big studio, and Sathya and the other couple of musicians were the little control room where there's a mirror in between. It's one of my favourite albums, actually. There's no it's no frills, it's just simple. The Shantis is called Sing Out. It's just a really good way for Westerners to learn bhajans. Right. And many people say they learn bhajans easier from me singing bhajans because I don't put lots of the wiggles in. Mm-hmm. I keep it straight if I'm not making mistakes so that they can learn. And I always put the lyrics in the booklet. Swami once said to me, I'm going to give you spiritual diamonds and you will take them all over the world. I had no idea what he was talking about. I thought one of us had lost the plot, and if it was anyone, it was bound to be me, actually. But within a year, I was invited, and I'm still invited to go to lots of these countries where I can go and talk about this.
What's your connection with Sufism? Because many of your lyrics are, inspirations from a lot of Sufi poems. Am I right?
Well, yes, that's because for me, Sufism is the one religion. It's beyond religion, actually. You could say it's the religion of love, but it isn't religion. It's a way of life. It's love. I've studied all religions. I have read the Quran and I read the Indian things as well. But there's kind of rules, ways to conduct yourself. There are no rules with Sufism. You just do what the heart tells you. And it may upset some people, may surprise people like me dancing on stage. I don't care if they said you could never sing again for Swami, because I know that I have to follow my heart. And so everything I've read about Sufism is just to do with L-O-V-E, with a capital L-O-V-E. It's only love. There's no rules. Actually, nothing has to be written down, but occasionally you can read a sentence. One sentence can put me into a state of bliss more than reading a whole blasted book of dogma. And we say in England, your karma has run over my dogma. Well, I can't bear dogma. Rules that have no sense. Right. Maybe you grow into the sense of them when you're older. But kids who are just told, don't do that or don't do that. I was always a rebel, and I will be a rebel till the day I die. Hence, I left school at 15, and 2 months later, after I left school, it became illegal to leave school at 15. I managed to squeak past under the radar, because I knew even then I cannot learn what I need in life from a normal place. Life has to teach me about love and I've done some things that may be considered rather abnormal by some standards, but the end result is I feel free. Do you know how amazing it is to be free? Swami has freed me from all chains. I mean, okay, I'm still stuck in the body that gives aches and pains, but I'm free. I'm free to just be happy with everyone, to sing until he takes my voice, to be joyful until he takes my breath and my body away. That is such a relief. I do sing a song called 10-Ton Blocks, a blues song. And because people walking around with blocks of cement on their shoulders, Swami took all of this away. What an absolute joy. Well, even in my blues music, I know that I'm singing about, let's say, the Big Daddy Blues. I know I'm singing about Swami. What anyone else is thinking about, I have no idea.
Right.
But he inspires me in every single thing I do. Even if I do something as boring as watching television, okay, sometimes you might switch off, but there's not a moment where he's not there, for me anyway, and for everyone that comes here. We're all here because we love our beloved Lord. But it's not just enough to love him, we have to love everything that belongs to him, which is everything from the smallest ant to the biggest mountain. And that means loving not just the easy things like the people we love, but especially loving our enemies. But everything on this earth we must love, and this song is called Love the Love. Love the love, love the love, love the love, love the love. Love the love, love the love, love the love, love the love, love the love of the beloved, love the love of the beloved, love the love of the beloved, oh love the love of the beloved. Take love, don't break love, just make love your goal. So love the love of the beloved,
Love the love of the beloved. Love the love of the beloved. Love the love of the beloved. Hold it and fold it, it's gold in your soul. So love the love. Love the love. Love the love. Oh, love the love. Take love, don't break love, just make love your goal. So love the love of the beloved. Love the love of the beloved. Love the love of the beloved. Oh, love the love of the beloved. Love to the oceans, love to the desert, love to the flowers and trees. Love to the rivers, love to the mountains, love to the gentle breeze. Love to the sunlight, love to the moonlight, and love to the stars in the sky. Love to the fishes, love to the animals, love to the birds that fly. Love to your father, love to your mother, love to your family. Love to your sister, love to your brother, but love to your enemy. Love to your neighbor, love to your stranger, love till it makes you cry. Love to the babies, love to the old folks, love till the day you die.
Thank you. So many people have said, you know, isn't it dreadful, or don't you feel it's dreadful? It's made no difference to me at all. I dare say if I'd been a student used to seeing him walking around every day, you could miss that. Made no difference. I was actually in India when he was physically no longer here. Made no difference to me because I don't see the difference between life and death. And I'm not afraid to talk about death or think about it. I'm talking about physical death. It's just the outer shell. Doesn't bother me at all. I have no body consciousness at all. I can honestly say that. Okay, I don't look as good as I used to when I was younger, but that doesn't matter. So when he was not there, I feel him everywhere. I feel him on the breeze. I see him in a flower. I see him with birds flying past. I see him when somebody tries to grab your rickshaw and you're trying to get into it. It's just everywhere, and it's so much easier to think like that. And actually being in Puttaparthi is in many ways easier. There's no somebody pushing you out because they want to get in the front row. There is no difference, but there is one small difference, but it's maybe a big difference. That thing when you're sitting for hours and you're waiting for him and you're feeling totally knackered, or in my case, in agony, and suddenly the bit of music would start and you'd know he'd come out and every soul would lift. You would physically, it was like the whole place would take off. This you don't get anymore. But he doesn't want us to be attached to the form. And anyone that goes on saying, oh, Swami, I miss you, they've missed the point. I see him everywhere. And I think that's the most important thing he's taught me. So I don't miss him. I wish I could say I dreamt about him every night, but sadly I don't. Do you? Or maybe you do.
Occasionally, sometimes.
Yeah, but I've had a few as well, but not. I know some people are out there, you know, flying through the skies with him
your
every night.
experience is exactly what he would have wanted us to experience, like to see him everywhere.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it.
Right.
We've got to get on with life. Life can be dark and grueling and painful and difficult and unfair quite often. This should be equilibrium for us. It doesn't matter. Every test he puts our way, and when things are really difficult, we should be saying, thank you, Swami. You've given me another chance to grow with, and hopefully closer to, not closer to you, we can't get any closer. He's as close as our eyelids. He is our breath. That's so simple. He's our breath. What more do you want?
Shower the rose petals, shower the rose petals. Shower the rose petals, shower the rose petals. Lord of the universe is walking towards us. Lord of the universe is walking towards us. Shower the rose petals, shower the rose petals, shower the rose petals, shower the rose petals. Lovely fragrance from the roses, lovely fragrance from the roses, lovely fragrance is Baba's vibhuti, lovely fragrance is Baba's vibhuti. I am in heaven. Shower the rose petals. I am in heaven. Shower the rose petals. Shower the rose petals. Shower the rose petals. Faith is truly a wonderful gift. Faith is truly a wonderful gift. Fill your heart with love. Shower the rose petals. Fill your heart with love. Shower the rose petals. See the rainbow in the sky. See the rainbow in the sky. Baba walking softly by. Baba walking softly by. Loving everyone. Shower the rose petals. Loving everyone. Shower the rose petals. Shower the rose petals. Shower the rose petals. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om